Sabelo, there are many scholars who have been committed to the decolonial project. Could you perhaps mention one that you perhaps have sort of, I'm sure it's not just one, but who comes into mind that have sort of also inspired you as a thinker?
In doing the work of decolonizing, particularly in the domain of knowledge, I personally been inspired by so many thinkers who, if they were alive today, they might not describe themselves as decolonial, but we recover them as decolonial. Of course, they exist across space and time, and also geography. You have the earliest literate in the Western sense, black thinkers who were maybe in Europe, like Wilhelm, who was here in Germany, who got a PhD in philosophy, and who wrote about the rights of black people in Europe, the right of Moors. That was the word by then. He tried by all means to challenge the thought, but he was a minority. He was not a majority. But you must know also that in Eurocentric thought, there is always autocritique within it. And there are some people who accept that objectivity is nonsense within Eurocentric thought itself. So it's not like a singular church with one doctrine. There is what Emmanuel Wallerstein terms anti-eurocentric Eurocentrism. You know, anti-eurocentric, it is a European thinker criticizing Eurocentrism, but still remaining Eurocentric, if I can put it that way. And that is very, very common, that people can question some of the tenets of Eurocentric thought without necessarily abandoning Eurocentrism. So I think Amo was within that context. I think he was beginning to me, withdraw from his interventions to advance the decolonial agenda, in the sense that he began to give a topic which other philosophers were not talking about in the first instance. Secondly, if you read his work, he was beginning to think differently from European philosophers, even if he was produced as part of the Enlightenment project. So you will find Amo was challenging even the way they defined what thinking was, what scholarship was all about, and he was bringing in issues of emotion, issues of feelings into thinking. But he is not the only one. I'm also inspired by later day thinkers like Ngugui Thiongo, for instance, who has been consistent since the 1960s about the necessity of decolonization from a linguistic point of view, from language point of view. And his work, to me, I visited almost all of them, and I gained inspiration from that. And there are many really who are trailblazers, if I can use that word, in the decolonial. We are not starting from scratch. Thinkers come politicians like Nkrume, for instance, whose famous book, Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism, published in 1965, is an inspirational book in all this. And then you have thinkers like Claude from Nigeria, who in 1979 published the book Imperialism as Social Science, or Social Science as Imperialism. It is vice versa. Social Science as Imperialism. That book, up to today, is classic in defining that knowledge can actually be colonized. But I read many thinkers from Africa, from the African diaspora, and from elsewhere, as long as they address the question of, I work very closely with comrades from Latin America, Walter Mignolo, Ramon, Grosfoguel, Nelson Maldonado-Torres. I read the decolonial feminist work by scholars like Maria Lugones. I read the African decolonial feminists like Oyeronke, Oyewumi, who wrote this award-winning book, The Invention of Women, which is focused on Yoruba in Nigeria. So really, I'm also inspired by the Roads Must Fall and the Fees Must Fall, as well as the Black Lives Matter movements in this work which I do.
Thank you so much.